Good morning. I'm Chris Springate, the CEO of ARC Medical. Prior to ARC, I was the member of a team that designed and developed the Taxus drug-eluting stent. Through our partnership with Boston Scientific, the revenues were over $2 billion in our first year of sales. Now, at ARC, we're building another unicorn through improving surgical patient recovery by preventing internal adhesions. There are three main aspects to our value proposition. First, we are targeting large unmet medical needs and markets by focusing on the US, Japan, and select additional countries with a collective total addressable market of over $11 billion annually. Second, we have a compelling and superior clinical and preclinical package. Most recently, we've treated 4 reoperation orthopedic surgery patients with great success. And we have 7 separate patent families that provide exclusivity for our products through 2039 and beyond. Our upcoming milestones are twofold. One, we're completing a Japanese deal with an anticipated upfront payment prior to the end of 2025, so revenues to the company. And two, we're initiating clinical trials that we expect to result in approvals and revenues in select countries within the next 2 years. So, what is the most common surgical complication today? And it is surgical adhesions, which form in the first 5 days after surgery. Surgical adhesions are abnormal, unwanted internal scars that form inside the body. If not prevented, the surgical adhesions become permanent. Following a gynecological abdominal surgery, over 31% of the patients develop adhesions, and following a common knee or shoulder surgery, over 5% of the patients have such debilitating immobility that they can't change their shirt by themselves or even ride a stationary bike. And here's a great example. Jane underwent a common knee ligament repair surgery. She was stuck at 95 degrees and couldn't even ride a stationary bike. We expect to treat over 1.3 million patients with revenues of over $1.1 billion every year. Our IP coat liquid medical device prevents the formation of gynecological and abdominal surgical adhesions. Our JOCOAT liquid medical device prevents the formation of orthopedic surgical adhesions. With both of these liquid devices, they are very fast and easy to apply in an open surgery, a laparoscopy, or an arthroscopy in less than 2 minutes. If not prevented, adhesions can form within the first 5 days after surgery. Now, with ARC's liquid IP coat and JOCOAT medical devices, these devices flow throughout the entire surgical cavity and prevent adhesions everywhere. We have really nice, healthy healing without the formation of adhesions. Many of our animals are completely adhesion-free. We have compelling clinical data. So efficacy-wise, we did a large phase 1 clinical trial, 76 healthy volunteers, in which we proved out the safety of IP coat and JOCOAT. And again, we've treated 4 orthopedic reoperation patients coming back in for a reoperation to lyse adhesions. These patients are highly adhesogenic. We have a compelling increase in the range of motion of 25 to 65 degrees in each of these patients. Jane, following her reoperation and application of JOCOAT, had a 40-degree increase in range of motion. She's now either riding her bike or trail running daily. We just closed the financing for $3 million a couple months ago, and so with that, we are initiating and undertaking 2 pivotal clinical trials for approvals outside of US and Japan. These serve as pilots for the US. The first of these clinical trials is a gynecological surgery clinical trial. 21 patients, women coming in for an endometriosis surgery. It's highly adhesogenic. And the second of these clinical trials that we're doing in parallel is a knee ACL repair with 40 patients. We have 7 separate patent families that provide exclusivity through 2039 and beyond. 5 of these have granted in the US, 5 have granted in Japan. Other patents are granted or pending in additional territories. We're partnering in Japan. We're in discussions with 3 separate medical device companies in Japan. We expect our partner to pay for the pivotal clinical trials for abdominal and gynecological surgery, so 2 separate clinical trials. They will then market and sell our IP code in Japan. In exchange for an exclusive deal with one of the companies, we anticipate an upfront payment, milestone payments, and then very healthy royalties or transfer payments at the back end. So the 2 clinical trials that we're running, we're expecting to run in shortly and result in approvals and distribution deals prior to the end of 2026, with revenues coming into ARC starting at that time. We've raised $21 million in equity to date. We've matched this almost dollar for dollar with $18 million in non-dilutive revenues and grants. And so we're really focused on revenues. So as you've got the sense, we're partnering in Japan. We expect to see that upfront payment by the end of this year. We're conducting clinical trials, partnering outside of Japan and the US, expecting to see initial sales prior to the end of 2026. We'll then come back to the US and do the pivotal clinical trials for IP-Coat and JOCOAT, resulting in approvals. It's a PMA approval. And then build an internal sales leadership team and an army of 1099s to launch these products. Our IP-Coat confers a number of competitive advantages within the gynecological and abdominal surgery space. And for orthopedic surgeries, the indirect competitors for JOCOAT are comprised of really expensive procedures to either break or cut apart the adhesions that have formed already in surgical patients. They don't prevent the adhesions from forming. Our leadership team has done this before. Alison Crow in the bottom right there. She was instrumental in designing and running the clinical trials that resulted in approvals and commercialization of 3 separate anti-surgical adhesion products. Professor Dr. Robert Litchfield, our Chief Medical Officer, he leads a team of 15 surgeon key opinion leaders. They all have recent, relevant clinical trial experience. Reimbursement for IP-Coat and JOCOAT is either direct to the clinic or these products are paid for from a DRG or diagnosis-related group umbrella payment. For the unit pricing and the costs that we have for these products, we're looking at profit margins for ARC ranging from $101 to $870 per device. We have forecast significant revenues from multiple pathways, including over $1 billion annually in the US, following approvals and ramp up in the US. And so we've laid out here our near-term revenues. So in Japan, we're expecting an upfront payment in 2025, near-term and long-term in Japan. And for the select countries outside of the US and Japan, expecting to see the first sales at the end of 2026. And again, laying out here the plans there. So we are seeking $50 million as a growth investment in the company, and this is to pay for the US pivotal clinical trials for both IP-Coat for gynecological and JOCOAT for orthopedic. This provides a 5-year runway all the way through to the PMA approvals. So again, our value proposition, 3 main takeaways here. So first of all, we are targeting large unmet medical needs and markets. We have compelling and superior clinical and preclinical data, very strong intellectual property. Again, we're focused on revenues in the near and long term. So revenues from Japan in 2025 from that upfront payment, and completing the clinical trials resulting in approvals and sales in select countries starting in 2026. Would love to chat with you if you're interested in more information about an investment or a partnering opportunity. Thank you.